Show some.
Lights and sound, go! House out! Hello, and welcome to the William Grandgeorge Theater and Roger Williams University's production of TrojanWomen. Please take this time to silence all electronic devices and put them away. Please note that the use of smartphones and taking of photographs during the show are very distracting. In the unlikely case of an emergency, there are two exits: the door you came in, or through this curtain and down the stairs. The running time of the show is approximately 60 minutes, and there is no intermission. Thank you for coming, and we hope you enjoy the show. Lights and sound, go!
Long before the era of classical Greece, there existed the Mycenaean civilization. In the 1870s, Heinrich Schliemann, the famed archaeologist, excavated both Mycenae in Greece and Troy, which is in present-day Turkey. The Trojans, who were part of the Hittite Empire, were known for horse breeding and training, and Troy was a trade center between east and west. Spices, oils, gold, copper, and tin all passed through. In Mycenae, Schliemann uncovered what he believed was a settlement that corresponded to Homer's descriptions of Agamemnon in the house of Atreus. The Mycenaean Greeks were farmers, engineers, artisans, and warriors. Military leaders ruled their society and furthered their interest by conquest rather than by trade. The decade-long siege of Troy is over. Its walls and palaces are now smoldering ruins. The few surviving citizens and soldiers have fled to safety. The Greeks, led by kings Odysseus, Agamemnon, and Menelaus, have looted the treasures of Troy, including the women, who suffer the usual fate of women when a city is sacked. They wait to learn how they will be distributed to the Greek victors.
I come from the depths of the Aegean Sea and stand in the wreckage of a once great city. My nephew Apollo and I built the towers and walls of Troy, which now lie in rubble. Beware Greeks bearing gifts. You've all heard the story of the Trojan horse. After years of war, the Greeks, with the help of a vindictive and envious Athena, built a wooden horse and offered it to the Trojans. At night, while within Troy's walls, the Greeks emerged from the horse and slaughtered so many. Now, the city is on fire. All the men are dead, and nothing remains but the spoils of war, the women, and this war never should have happened. It all started from a trick, a lie, and we were all caught up in it. I was angry at Priam, the king of Troy, for not rewarding me for building his walls. So I supported the attack, at first. But I never would have wished such a penalty on all these innocent people for his insult to me.
May I speak to you? This affects both of us.
Athena, do you have a message from Zeus?
No. This is about the destruction of Troy. I need your help.
Help with what? You hate the Trojans. Do you suddenly feel compassion now that their city is in ashes?
Will you help me? I have a plan to help the Trojans who survived to reclaim and rebuild their city.
Are you working for the Greeks or for someone else?
I want to punish the Greeks.
How can you change from hate to love, and from love to hate so quickly?
Don't you know what happened in my shrine? Ajax raped Princess Cassandra in my shrine, and the other Greeks did nothing about it.
Yet you helped them to destroy this city.
I didn't help them with their war crimes. They dishonor humanity as much as they dishonor us, which is why I need your help to make my wrong a right by punishing the Greeks. And you have reason to support this.
What do you mean?
Your son was tortured and humiliated by Odysseus. Polyphemus is the son of Poseidon, and Thusa, a cyclops. One day, Polyphemus was preparing to eat Odysseus' men. Odysseus approached him and identified himself as nobody, and then stabbed him in the eye with a sword. Polyphemus was running around, screaming, "Nobody's trying to kill me! Nobody's trying to kill me!" The other Cyclopes thought he was insane. Odysseus sailed away with his men before Polyphemus had even realized he'd been tricked.
My son is an idiot. What is your plan?
I will make their journey home a hell, just as they have done for the women of Troy. Once they set sail, Zeus will send storms of hail and rain. He has promised me the power to hurl lightning bolts and fire at their ships. I want you to make the waters boil and roar, sink them with whirlpools, and fill the sea with their corpses. Those who remain will learn to honor my temples and treat all Olympians with more respect.
So shall the Aegean be red with Greek blood. Go to your father and get your new powers. We will teach these fools what happens when they fail to show us the respect we demand. This war, like most wars, sprang from stupidity, arrogance, and vanity. It all began with an apple. Eris, goddess of strife and discord.
So Zeus throws a party for Achilles' parents' wedding and didn't invite me because he thought I'd cause trouble. Well, I decided to be the first wedding crasher.
Zeus, the king of the gods. Everyone was celebrating and having a wonderful time when Eris interrupts the party and throws a golden apple into the crowd.
On this golden apple, I inscribed, "To the prettiest one."
Immediately there was a scramble, and Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite started fighting over the apple.
All three assumed it was meant for them.
They demanded that I decide which one was the prettiest. I wanted no part of this fight.
So Zeus gets this Trojan pretty boy named Paris to judge the beauty contest. He had no idea what he was getting himself into.
Paris, son of King Priam and Queen Hecuba of Troy.
I really couldn't say no. When Zeus asks you to do something, you do it. And all three were beautiful.
The three contestants took off their clothes in order to weaken Paris's capacity for sound thinking, which wasn't hard to do. They each attempted to bribe him in order to win. Athena, goddess of wisdom, warfare, and craft.
I promised him wisdom and skill in battle, the ability of the greatest warriors.
Hera, wife of Zeus and queen of the gods.
I guaranteed him political power and control over all of Asia.
Aphrodite, goddess of love, beauty, and sexuality.
I promised him the love of the most beautiful human woman in the world.
By this point, he was so aroused, Athena and Hera didn't stand a chance.
I choose the most beautiful woman in the world.
What man wouldn't want to be a great warrior?
What man wouldn't want to be king of Asia?
What man could resist the most beautiful woman in the world, especially while looking at me? The prettiest goddess in the world.
The misjudgment of Paris. Because the most beautiful woman in the world was Helen, wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta, and Agamemnon's brother.
A little detail Aphrodite failed to mention. I went to Sparta pretending to be on a diplomatic mission.
I fell in love with him the first moment that I saw him.
Helen of Sparta.
I don't know what it was, but I knew I had to have him.
When her husband was away, I asked her to come with me to Troy.
She was more than willing, since Aphrodite had caused her to fall in love with Paris.
So Paris and I went to Troy, where I planned to spend the rest of my life with him.
Of course her husband was furious. He decided to use his authority and influence to coerce the other city-states into helping him carry out his retribution.
This was not only an assault on me and on my honor, but on every Spartan. This was a terrorist attack against all Greeks.
Menelaus, the king of Sparta.
This was nothing short of a declaration of war. Our citizens, our way of life, came under attack from this deliberate act of terror. Everyone should know that Sparta will do what is necessary to ensure her security. To make our response look legitimate, I needed to enlist the cooperation of others, and there were plenty who owed me favors. I started with my brother, Agamemnon.
Menelaus named me commander-in-chief.
Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae.
We had to gather a willing coalition of Greek forces. Our allies had sworn an oath to Menelaus, and it was time to collect.
Now, Troy was a trade center between east and west, so we would find spices, oils, and metals there.
Gold, copper, and tin came through Troy. The war would pay for itself.
Greek leaders had a decision to make. Either they were with us, or they were with the terrorists.
We assembled a mighty force of Greeks, including leaders such as Odysseus, king of Ithaca, Ajax, king of Salamis, and his cousin, the great warrior Achilles. This was to be quick and relatively easy.
We sailed to retrieve my wife from those filthy Trojans and to restore my honor.
We tried diplomacy at first.
Return my wife! Deliver the kidnapper who unjustly imprisoned her and everyone who supported him. These demands are not open to negotiation or discussion. The Trojans must act, and act immediately. The Trojans will hand over the terrorists, or they will share in their fate.
Spartan diplomacy failed, so the Greeks attacked Troy. But their victory was not as easy, and not as cheap as they predicted. After 10 long years of bloodshed and death, the Greeks finally enjoyed their massacre. Somewhere in the ruins, King Priam's body lies unburied. He was murdered while taking refuge at the altar of Zeus. His widowed queen Hecuba remains to lament the deaths of her husband and her sons, Hector, who was killed by Achilles, and Paris, who killed Achilles, avenging his brother's death before he himself was struck down. The Greeks looted gold and other treasure, including the women. Those who had not been killed wish they had been. Instead, they become prizes, trophies, spoils of war. The women of Troy are to become the property of the Greek men who ravished their city.
Hecuba? Queen Hecuba!
No! This is no longer Troy. I'm queen only of tears and misery.
Hecuba, the former queen of Troy.
Will they really take us in their ships?
I'm afraid they will.
Those of us left are doomed, slaves of the Greeks. I dread the moment they call for us and prepare to set sail.
They're already preparing.
I am petrified to find who will be my new master.
We will all know soon. Whose slave will I be in my old age? Where will my death come, and it cannot come soon enough?
Maybe we will live in a nice place.
As whores to men we hate, men who have killed our husbands and children.
The killers mocked us, saying, "Aha, it is the girls. Let's go and liberate them. We must give them something to celebrate." They took us and another girl who was carrying a baby to a nearby hill. We passed a roadblock where we saw that people were being killed. Right in front of us, people were forced to squat on the floor and were then macheted or killed with a massue, a club with nails. There was a big truck on standby where the bodies were piled and then taken away.
When the attack began, there was too much noise to take in every twist and turn of the killings, but I recognized many neighbors' faces as they killed with all their might. Very early on, I felt a blow. I collapsed between some benches, pandemonium all around. When I woke up, I checked to see that I was not dying.
When they were tired of killing, the men came to us and ordered us to take off our clothes. They each in turn raped us. One man pleaded with the others to leave my 14-year-old sister alone, saying she was only a kid. The other men laughed and said we were all going to be killed anyway, that we would have to choose between rape and a cruel death. They raped my 14-year-old sister. I stopped feeling my pain. I wanted to protect her, but I couldn't. After raping us, they gave us food to eat by the roadside. Many people were being captured by villagers and brought to the roadblock. Soon, there were so many women kept aside for rape. This went on 2 weeks. My sister and I met many women. Some were raped and killed. Others were macheted and lay in agony for days before eventually dying. Others were piled on the lorries with the dead even though they were still breathing.
I crept out amongst the corpses. Unfortunately, a boy managed to push me with his metal bar. I dropped onto the bodies. I didn't move anymore. I made dead eyes. At one moment, I felt myself being lifted and thrown, and other people fell on top of me. When I heard the leaders whistle their order to pull out, I was completely covered in dead people.
The next thing that happened was another 4 girls came into the room with 4 soldiers and they told me to leave. They put me in another room and some soldiers came in. The first ordered me to take off my clothes. I said I didn't want to, but he just took them off himself. There were 3 other soldiers in the room and one held my legs while the other cut me with a razor. The one who took off my clothes burned my mouth with cigarettes and then raped me while the other 3 watched. I was sure they all intended to take their turn, but after the second one raped me and the third was preparing, the first 2 said to him not to bother, because I was no good. I was just a peasant, and so I was spared.
I lost my husband and my children, and I never saw them again. Well, I say I never saw them, but I did see them while I was in a truck. They were lined up like you sometimes see on television, their hands behind their necks. I saw my youngest son lying near a ditch, as if facing the ditch, but he was headless. I started vomiting. I didn't know human hearts and souls could be so evil.
Hecuba! Remember me? I've been sent with a fresh message.
Our future is here.
This is the moment we have all dreaded.
The committee has decided your fates already, if that's what you mean.
Where will we be sent? Thessaly? Phthia? Thebes?
Each warrior took his prize in turn. You were not all assigned at once.
Whose prize is my daughter Cassandra?
King Agamemnon chose her for himself.
To be the slave girl of his wife?
No, to be his concubine.
What? She's a virgin priestess! Her powers of prophecy were granted by Apollo!
Isn't it an honor that a king would choose her?
What about my other daughter?
Polyxena.
Who is she assigned to?
Oh. She is assigned to tend Achilles' grave.
I'm the mother of a dead man's slave. What kind of hellish sentence is this?
Consider her relatively happy.
What do you mean? Say she's still alive.
Let's just say she's free from trouble.
The entire Greek army stood before the tomb of Achilles and watched as his son Neoptolemus grabbed Polyxena and dragged her up onto the grave's mound. Several young soldiers held her, while Neoptolemus held up a gold goblet full of wine and prayed for a safe return home. He offered Polyxena as a virgin sacrifice. Then he unsheathed his sword, decorated in gold, and told the soldiers to pull her down, when Polyxena interrupted and shouted,
Don't touch me! I will offer myself willingly. I want to die free, not as a slave. And King Agamemnon ordered his soldiers to back away from her. When they did, Polyxena slowly lowered her robe and bared her breasts. She stood for a moment like a beautiful statue before kneeling down. Strike me! Choose my bosom or my throat.
Get out! Neoptolemus did not hesitate. He swung his sword at her neck. There was a fountain of blood.
Yes!
Yet even in death, the princess fell gracefully, covering her breasts from the men who were gawking.
Not one of the Greeks showed the same dignity she did. No one honored her bravery and sacrifice.
And what of my son Hector's wife, Andromache? What is her fate?
She too was a chosen prize. Achilles' son took her.
The same son who murdered my husband.
The same.
And me? Whose whore am I to be?
You will be slave to Odysseus, king of Ithaca.
Oh my gods! I'm a slave to a criminal who's betrayed us!
What about us? Where will the rest of us be sent?
Don't have the patience for this. You all will learn your fate in due time.
I bring the light. That is my child, Cassandra!
Apollo thought Cassandra was so beautiful that he gave her the power of prophecy. When she did not return his love, Apollo placed a curse on her, so that no one would ever believe her predictions.
Cassandra foresaw the destruction of Troy, as well as her own death. She could do nothing about any of these events.
I am doing the god service, see? I will light his shrine. I am a blessed maiden, soon to marry the king of Mycenae. Mother, since you mourn for my father's death and for our country, I will hold this fire at my wedding in your honor. Let us dance, salute the bride, and sing and cry with joy because I am going to be married.
We will not sing and dance at your wedding, but weep instead. Give me the fire. You're too hysterical and not thinking straight.
Mother, be happy for me and my new royalty. King Agamemnon will find in me a bride worth more sorrow to him than Helen is to Menelaus, because I'll kill him and destroy his home to avenge the murders of my father and my brothers. But I won't talk about it, and I won't talk about my head being chopped off, or of the others who will have their necks sliced, or how my marriage will cause the death of a mother and the fall of the house of Atreus. I will rise above my anger and hysterics to prove this city was happier than any in Greece. For the sake of one woman and one man's love for her, the Greeks have lost. No one forced Helen to leave her husband. Their so-called wise captain, Odysseus, has lost too, because he left his family to fight for no good reason. Since the day they landed here, their doom was sealed. Those who didn't die here have forsaken their families. Their wives are dying widows, their parents childless, and their children brought up by others. But the Trojans died for their country and with their loved ones, and will be buried in their own land. My brother Hector is dead, but he will be remembered as the bravest of the brave. He has the Greeks to thank for that. They are also responsible for making it unforgettable that my brother Paris married the daughter of Zeus. The wise avoid war, but if war happens, the noble death will bring glory to his country, while the cowardly death brings only shame. Mother, you shouldn't pity your country or my wedding, because this marriage will destroy those we hate the most.
Though you enjoy your own sadness, you might be wrong.
Apollo must have confused you, because you shouldn't make such ominous predictions about my sheets. After all, they are no wiser or better than anyone else. Agamemnon may be mighty, but weak enough to fall for a crazy woman. I would never have made such a choice. Come with me now. I will take you to your wedding with the king. Hecuba, be prepared to follow when Odysseus summons you. How clever you are for such a lackey. Why is it that messengers always have the same face? Everyone hates the same face of the servants who tend to kings and governments. You say my mother will be with Odysseus? Then why did Apollo tell me very clearly that she will die here? Little does Odysseus know the troubles he will have. After spending 10 years at Troy, he will spend another 10 years getting home. His troubles will make our suffering seem like pleasures in comparison. Sea monsters, a witch who turns men to pigs, shipwrecks, and other miseries will make his life a living hell. And when he finally gets home, his troubles will have only begun. But what do I care of him? Let's go, so I can wed and make my husband's life hellish. You think you are so high, but you are low. And low will you be buried in the middle of the night. And while my husband will have a tomb, my naked corpse will be eaten by wild animals. Goodbye, Mother. Don't cry. We will soon be together again, with Father and my brothers, after I have overthrown the home of our destroyers. Don't cry. I leave with my honor intact.
Let's help her.
Lift her up. Leave me on the ground. I was born to royalty and married royalty. I was the mother of strong sons, braver than any others in either Troy or Greece. I've seen them all slaughtered by these Greeks. I've seen their father, my Priam, butchered on the god's altar, and my city captured. I've raised my daughters to be chosen for proper marriages, but they've been snatched away by strangers. Never again can I hope to see them. I am to be taken to Greece to become a slave in my old age. I will watch their gates, keep their keys, bake their bread. Me, Hector's mother. Instead of a royal bed, I will sleep on the ground while wearing rags on my withering body. All of this because of that bitch Helen. Poor Cassandra. She's doomed. Polyxena is lost. None of my sons and daughters can help me now, so why bother lifting me up? There's no hope left. I'm a slave who lives on the ground. Someday after I've wasted my body with weeping, I'll find a rocky ridge and leap to my death.
Look, here comes Andromache.
She holds a newborn baby, a Cyanex.
Why have you come here in that Greek chariot with Hector's weapons? The son of Achilles will mount them in his shrine when he gets back.
My new masters dragged me here.
You poor thing. I'm so sorry for you.
It's all over.
What will you do?
All joy is gone, along with Troy.
What will you do?
My gods.
All my brave sons are dead.
What will you do?
I want my Hector back.
What will you do?
Our city is ruined and there is no end to our sorrow. Those who are dead are food for the vultures, while the rest of us are nothing but slaves.
What will we do?
I cannot bear leaving
leaving my country and my children. At least the dead won't suffer.
What will we do? My baby and I are now looted, stolen from nobility and delivered to slavery.
Cassandra, my baby, was taken.
As though another Ajax has harmed your daughter, I must tell you sadder news. Alexina is dead. Achilles' tomb as an offering to his corpse.
Oh my God! That was the riddle Talthemius told me!
I found her lying on the ground, so I covered her body.
What will we do?
Why must we suffer such shame?
What will we do?
Her death is a happier fate than my life.
Death is annihilation. Life keeps place for hope. What will we do?
Death is far better than life with misery. The dead don't feel sorrow and grief, but people who have had their happiness turned to pain feel it more. A baby who is dead never knew such sorrow and grief. We all know how you feel.
We must resist.
My life was better than most. For all the things a wife is supposed to be, I strive to do for Hector. I stayed home for his sake. I never gossiped. I was honestly happy. I never argued with him, and I always honored and respected him. My reputation became known to the Greeks. When I was captured, I found that Achilles' son would take me as his wife. I must serve in a house of murderers.
We are all in the same boat.
We must resist.
If I try to forget Hector and open my heart to Neoptolemus, I will be a traitor. But if I hate him, he will beat me. They say a single night can cure the hatred, but I hate women who set aside their love for a lost man and transfer it to a new husband. Hector was wise, noble, brave, and mighty, but he is dead, and I will be taken to Greece as a slave. I have little hope. I don't allow myself to dream of happiness.
I've never set foot on a ship's deck, but I fear we are all doomed to do so. Speak no more of Hector. Honor him with silence, because no tears can save him. Treat your new husband with sweetness. Make him think you love him. Do this so that your child will be safe. And you can raise him to one day rebuild Troy. But we must be quiet of it now. Here comes that Greek tool. What awful news does he bring?
I beg you not to hate me, Andromache, for the orders I deliver from your masters.
What is it? It must be evil news.
It is ordered that your son,
Is surely not to have a different master from me.
none of the Greek chiefs will be his master.
Is it their will to leave him here? A refugee of Troy?
I don't know how to say this lightly.
Thank you for your consideration.
They mean to kill your son, that is my message to you.
Oh my gods, this is worse than forcing me to marry.
So ordered, Odysseus.
Once again, there is no way to measure my suffering.
He said they should not rear a son of such a father.
And would he want his children treated the same?
He must be thrown from what's left of Troy's walls. If you rise to let him go, you cannot stop this from happening. No one will help you. Listen, your husband and city are gone, and you are our property. I alone could overpower you if necessary, but I don't want to cause you any more shame or hear you wail and curse us. If you resist, then your baby will never be buried or even pitied. If, on the other hand, you do obey, then he will be buried and you will find more favor with your masters.
My sweet babe, my treasure. Our enemies have demanded me to sacrifice you to spare the lives of others. Your father's death isn't enough for them, neither with the life of an innocent baby.
someday. It's my greatest joy to hold you, to breathe your breath, to suckle you. Kiss your mother for the last time. Let me hold you in my arms for the last time. You Greeks give new meaning to cruelty. Why kill an infant who hasn't done anyone any wrong? You are not children of any god, but of some evil demon. Barbarians! Fuck you! Take my child and throw him into the earth and eat his flesh, you monsters! And take me away from this hell.
Come. We must do what we have been ordered to do.
What can I do for my grandson but hit my head and beat my breast? Our city is destroyed. We are slaves. What else do they want?
Hecuba, Your Majesty.
Menelaus, Your Majesty.
I came to Troy not so much to reclaim my woman, but to punish the terrorist who took her from my house. He has paid for his crime, and so has his city. I have no intention of calling that Spartan woman wife any longer. She's just another captive Trojan woman. I could kill her here and now, but I will take her home to Greece and execute her there as compensation for all of us who were killed here.
I pray to Zeus, or to nature, or to human intellect that all you do is guided by justice.
What? What are you talking about?
Thank you, Menelaus, for killing your wife. Get rid of her before she causes you any more shame. No man can resist her. Cities are overthrown, houses burned, and lives destroyed because of her. I know her. So do you. And so do all of her victims.
Menelaus, I have been beaten by your servants and brought here. What have the Greek leaders decided about my life?
Helen of Troy. The decision was easy and unanimous. You've been handed over to me to die.
It would be unjust to execute me.
I didn't come to argue, but to kill you.
Listen, Menelaus, don't kill her because of what you know she's done. That would be unjust. You don't know of all of her wickedness in Troy. Once you do, executing her will be necessary.
I don't need any more reasons.
Maybe she won't respond to me, since I'm an enemy. Or whether you'll believe me or not, but I will answer any accusations she makes against me. She is responsible for these troubles, for giving birth to Paris in the first place. Old Priam ruined Troy and me because he didn't teach Paris long ago. Paris was a weak, gullible fool who was tricked into taking me by Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite.
You lie! She is lying!
It seems that Greece benefited from my marriage to you. You became stronger as the city-states came together to fight over me. But what was good for the Greeks was a nightmare for me, a victim of my beauty. I'm blamed for what should have made me a queen. I wonder why I snuck away. When you left for Crete, Paris and Aphrodite came for me. I don't know why I followed.
I wasn't thinking. It must have been Aphrodite's doing. Punish her for my abduction. Show her how strong you are. Show my father Zeus that you are not as weak as he is. He lets her walk all over him. I am innocent.
Don't listen to her. She's lying to save herself.
No! You will hear lies about me. When Paris died, I should have fled Troy and come to you. I wanted to. Ask the tower watchmen. They saw me looking for ways to escape. I searched for places to tie ropes to climb over the walls. How can you be justified in giving me the death penalty when I was forced against my will to marry them? My beauty has caused me nothing but misery.
Your Majesty, you must speak for your country.
She's a deceiving witch. Tell him of her crimes.
He has to tell him.
First of all, she's not telling the truth about the goddesses. I would never believe that Hera or Athena would have been so foolish as to sell the destruction of Greece, or that Athena would allow Athens to be ruled by a Trojan. What would Hera gain? A finer husband than Zeus? Or was Athena so desperate for a man even though she surely benefits by remaining a virgin? Don't lie about the goddesses, Helen, to mask your own sins. Menelaus isn't that stupid. Next, you said Aphrodite came with my son to take you. Why, when she could have made you go wherever without leaving heaven? No, my son was minding his own business when you decided you wanted him instead of your own husband. Men think with their dicks and blame Aphrodite for what they do, and you know it. When you saw Paris in his uniform full of gold, you decided to go after him. When you married Menelaus, you found yourself in a simple place. Sparta wasn't good enough. Menelaus wasn't rich enough. You thought living in Troy as a princess would be luxurious.
That's not true! I have always loved you.
My son abducted you? Bullshit! Any witnesses? Nobody heard you cry for help. After arriving in Troy, and after the war began, whenever you heard news of Menelaus' wins, you praised him. When the Trojans won victories, Menelaus was nothing to you. You care about fortune, not about virtue. You go with the winner. In spite of all of this, you claim you wanted to escape Troy. Did you ever tie any nooses with your ropes so that you could hang yourself like any woman would do to avoid the shame you pretend to feel? How many times did I tell you I would help you leave Troy? That I would take you to the fleet myself to end the war? But you didn't want to hear of it. You wanted to be Paris's wife.
Never! All I could think about was you and how I longed to be in your bed again.
Shut your mouth. You wanted men to fight over you. Yes, a proud time for you. And now, after all of this, you've dressed yourself like a slut and tried to fool your husband. It would have been better had you shown up in tatters with your hair cut short, cowering in fear, showing shame instead of insulting us all with your bare-faced lies. Menelaus, do your people right and kill all women like her, all who betray their husbands. Give this cunt what she deserves.
Avenge yourself, Menelaus.
She isn't worthy of you or your family.
Erase the stain on all women.
Let your friends and enemies see your strength.
I agree. She left with Paris of her own accord.
No.
She invented Aphrodite's role.
No.
The sooner she dies, the better for all of us.
I beg you, don't kill me. Have mercy on me.
Be true to your allies and to my children for all the deaths she has caused.
Don't worry. I won't listen to her any longer. I am over her. I will drag her to my ship and bring her home to her death.
Don't let her set foot on the same ship with you.
Why not?
If you loved her once, you will always love her.
That depends. But you have a point. I will grant your wish. I won't allow her on my ship. When we arrive home in Sparta, she will die the shameful death she is due. This will teach all women like her a lesson. They don't learn easily, but this will scare them.
So Zeus has sacrificed all that we are to the Greeks.
Our culture is gone, even our monthly holy festivals.
Zeus, do you care that our city is destroyed?
My husband, who was so loved, is a ghost wandering this hell. His corpse lies unwashed and unburied as ships prepare to carry me away. And our children, they gather them now. I can almost hear their cries. I hope a bolt of lightning smites Menelaus in the middle of the Aegean so that he never sees his home again. No!
Hecuba, all but one ship has left. Neoptolemus has sailed with Andromache aboard. She begged me to see that no Greek carried Hector's shield and to let her bury her baby. But her masters would not wait. So, I brought the corpse to you so you could dress him as you see fit. I've already washed his body, and I will dig a grave for you. But we must hurry, because our ship will leave soon.
Place the shield upon the ground. These Greeks are powerful, but stupid. They killed a baby. Why? Did they fear he would someday rise up and seek revenge? Afraid of an innocent baby? Fucking cowards! My child, I feel such pity for you. If you had died a man with a family and respect, you would have been blessed. But you never knew any of that joy. Poor thing. Your face is broken. Your hands are limp. I can see your father in you, and you're both lifeless. All the kisses I gave you, all the sleepless nights are all lost. It is you who should have buried me. But now I must put you in the ground in my old age. Now the shield that kept your father's arm safe will guard you in death. What can we use to dress him? We shall wrap you in Trojan cloth, an honor you'll miss on your wedding day. death will not touch you on this shield and in these cloths, because you deserve honors far beyond this.
May he rest in peace.
I mourn all our fates.
Unending sorrow.
We'd all be better off dead.
How will we go on?
It seems the gods want to punish us, and their hatred for Troy is clear. All our sacrifices to them were done in vain. Maybe if we'd never praised or worshipped them, they wouldn't have known about us. Let this child rest in his robe of honor, though I doubt it makes any difference to the dead.
What a tragic death for one with such high hopes.
What more violence are we to endure?
Before we can depart, it has been ordered that anything and everything left in Troy must be burned to ashes. And all you women must now come with me. It's time.
This is insult upon injury! It couldn't be any worse than to be taken away while my city's ruins are burned to ashes! I want to say goodbye to my home! My gods! Why is it I call to any god when it seems they haven't heard our pleas? I want to rush into the fire. To die with my country would be a noble death.
You aren't thinking right! Come, I will take you to Odysseus.
Zeus! Can't you see our sufferings? Why are we so unworthy?
He sees them. But city is a city no more, and Troy's day is done.
As the smoke rises, our city sinks into the ground.
Listen to your mother, children!
You are calling to the dead with a sad voice.
Yes! As I stretch my own limbs on the ground and beat the earth with my hands!
I will do the same for my husband.
They will take us away from the country that we love and make us their slaves! Oh, Priam! Why not buried in the sun? At least he does not know of my fate!
He's in a better place than us.
Our temples! Our city!
Cruelty!
Fire and destruction is all that's left!
Soon it will crumble and be lost.
And the smoke will blind us!
The name of my city will be forgotten, and our community will die.
Hear me! Do as your masters command to protect yourselves. But when the time is right and your children are safe, do what you must in the name of Troy. Make them regret what they have done to us, to all women. Ah! What was that? What fell?
The crash of the citadel.
The shock will crumble everything else. I can feel the ground tremble. Let's go.
Let's go to the sea and face our fate.
Odysseus' journey home took 10 years, and the voyage was plagued by storms and tribulations thanks to Athena. When he arrived in Ithaca, his people weren't at all happy to see him. After all,
His activities had led to the deaths of 2 generations of men. But Athena, not wanting to lower herself to his level, persuaded both sides to calm down and live in peace.
When Neoptolemus died, Andromache married a surviving son of Hecuba and Priam, Helenus, and became queen of Epirus. In time, she went to live with her son Pergamus and died of old age.
Cassandra's madness got worse. When she and Agamemnon arrived in Mycenae, they were murdered by his wife, Clytemnestra. At least her suffering was over.
Menelaus did not kill Helen immediately upon his return to Sparta as he promised. The rest of their marriage was understandably strained, and she never bore him an heir. Menelaus sacrificed Helen on Mount Olympus, but the two were reunited on the Isle of the Blessed after he died. Even in death, she could not escape.
There are different versions as to what happened to Hecuba. Some say she was stoned by Greek citizens for killing her son-in-law Polymestor for killing her youngest son. Others report she jumped overboard from Odysseus' ship. A third version tells that she snarled and growled at Odysseus so much that the gods turned her into a dog. That seems more symbolic of her plight after the war.
During the Rwandan genocide of 1994, up to 500,000 Tutsi women were raped, including almost every survivor over 12 years old. The result was a sharp rise in women born of rape to mothers newly infected with HIV.
Rape as a weapon of war was also used in Bosnia by Serbian soldiers against up to 50,000 women in the 1990s.
They set up rape camps to facilitate a program of ethnic cleansing aimed at terrorizing and obliterating Bosnian Muslims and Croats in former Yugoslavia.
Although most historians believe the Trojan War is a myth, evidence suggests the city was destroyed by fire and human activity in the 12th century BCE during the time of the Mycenaean civilization of Greece.
To the victors go the spoils.